Good morning. Good morning, Mr. President. You may recall that in my last briefing to the Security Council on 20th August, I had focused extensively on unilateral measures by various Libyan sides and the instability they had caused. Over the last 2 months, we continued to witness the negative effects of these unilateral decisions, but also experienced a positive development that restores some hope that Libyan leaders will take the necessary steps by the President and the Minister of Interior on new security arrangements, including the handing over of control of several key locations in the capital to the Ministry of Interior. Increasingly concerned about the impact on the Libyan people, UNSMIL convened in September several rounds of talks on the basis of the Libyan political agreement with representatives from the Parliament, the High Council of State, and the Presidential Council. On 26 September, delegates from the House of Representatives and the High Council of State signed an agreement that included nominees for the positions of the central bank governor and deputy governor and mandated the establishment of a board of directors. On 2nd October, a new central bank governor and deputy governor took office following consultations by the High Council of State and endorsement by the House of Representatives. UNSMIL welcomed this outcome, which was followed on 3rd October by the National Oil Corporation announcing the lifting of the force majeure, thereby enabling the full resumption of oil operations and exports. I want to recognize the constructive engagement by the House of Representatives, the High Council of State, the Presidential Council, other Libya leaders in finding a resolution to the central bank crisis, as well as members of the international community who supported a speedy resolution. Further steps remain to be taken, starting with the appointment of the Board of Directors. A competent, accountable central bank leadership is essential to restoring trust among the Libyan people and credibility in the global financial system. I urge Libyan stakeholders to support this new leadership in undertaking critical monetary policy and governance-related reforms. Mr. President, these events remind of the critical importance of ensuring the independence of state institutions and the need to depoliticize the use of Libyan institutions and natural resources for political gains. They are also a stark reminder of the threat posed by unilateral actions and the need for all parties, while adhering to their respective prerogatives, to work together to find solutions in the spirit of compromise. Regrettably, other actions continue to fuel divisions. The dispute over the authority to adjudicate on constitutional matters continues. On 1 October, the Supreme Court rejected the appointment of Constitutional Court judges by the House of Representatives on 23rd September. The House of Representatives' earlier decision to revoke the mandate of the Government of National Unity and of the Presidential Council and as the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces continues to be a source of tension. Consensus on a way forward on national reconciliation process, which remains stalled, also needs to be achieved. Mr. President, it's clear that if unilateral actions continue, they will only undermine Libya's sovereignty, plunge the country into further crisis, and distract from the task at hand, paving the way to a comprehensive political solution. A solution which addresses such issues such as the current division of state institutions, the need for a unified government, and restoring democratic legitimacy through elections. Libyans have also made clear their desire for a political process to address longer-term fundamental issues. These include the nature and structure of the state, of the Libyan state, and the equitable distribution of wealth to all Libyans. This will entail comprehensive, inclusive political dialogue. The recent events have also shown that confidence-building measures, such as ending unilateral actions or securing guarantees to commitment made, are more critical than ever to advance a productive political process. The resolution of the central bank crisis signals hope for progress on an inclusive political process facilitated by the United Nations, which can take the country to general elections and longer-term stability. UNSMIL is actively working to advance such a process for which international support remains crucial. Mr. President, another destabilizing issue in Libya is the continued division within the High Council of State over the contested vote for its president held on 6th August. This paralysis erodes the unity of this important institution. There are also reports of some High Council of State members being threatened by security agencies in Tripoli. These practices undermine the independence of the institution and create an unacceptable climate of fear. I urge or call on all concerned actors to find a solution that preserves the High Council of States' unity, and UNSMIL is working to help facilitate a resolution. Mr. President, the effects of armed conflict continue to be felt by ordinary Libyans today. In August and September alone, incidents of unexploded ordnances resulted in 13 fatalities, including 2 children. Turning to the ceasefire agreement on 25th August, I met the 5+5 Joint Military Commission in CERT. I urge the Joint Military Commission to continue advancing its mandate and for Libyan authorities to overcome obstacles hindering full implementation of the ceasefire agreement. A security working group meeting in CERT due to take place later this month presents an opportunity to refocus efforts on the security track. Mr. President, on a positive note, preparations for local elections in 60 municipalities are continuing. Candidacy applications closed on 14th September with 2,389 Libyans applying, including 474 women and 393 persons with disabilities. The High National Election Commissions received feedback from national authorities on applicants' eligibility as part of the mandated vetting process, and on October 6th, published the preliminary list of candidates, kicking off the challenges and appeals phase. Elections are expected in November. Over 1,000 observers from 86 organizations have been accredited, including over 260 women. We look forward to successful local elections, an important opportunity for the Libyan people to exercise the right to choose their representatives. Mr. President, human rights violations across Libya remain alarming. Over the last 2 months, over 23 arbitrary arrests, detention, and forced disappearances were reported, including 3 women and children in western and eastern Libya, many politically motivated. UNSMIL calls for an end to all arbitrary detained individuals and for independent investigations to end impunity. I'm also concerned by online violence targeting women's organizations and call for concerted efforts by authorities and Libyan society to ensure an enabling environment for women to participate in public life. On 30th August, UNSMIL and the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights released a report documenting human rights violations by the Al-Qani militias in Tarhuna, including enforced disappearances, torture, arbitrary execution, forced displacement. I urge authorities to implement the report's recommendations, which include the need for accountability, truth, reparations, and guarantees of non-repetition as integral components of a national reconciliation process grounded in transitional justice. The report also underscores the urgent necessity to resume excavation and identification of mass graves to help bring closure to families. Arrest warrants issued by the International Criminal Court against 6 Libyan men on 4th October for alleged atrocity crimes in Tarhuna are important in supporting accountability and the law enforcement efforts of the Attorney General. I commend his ongoing efforts. I welcome the recent start of cooperation between UNSMIL with authorities based in eastern Libya on strengthening standards on human rights, due process, and treatment of prisoners, as well as UNSMIL's ongoing engagement on these matters with authorities in western Libya. More work needs to be done. Mr. President, about a month ago, Libya commemorated 1 year since the devastating floods in Derna and surrounding communities, resulting in thousands of lives lost and many still missing. I pay tribute to the resilience of the Libyan people. Since the start of the Sudan crisis in 2023, an estimated 98,000 Sudanese refugees have arrived in Libya. The human rights, humanitarian protection conditions faced by migrants and refugees in the country continues to be of concern. It is critical to continue providing humanitarian assistance while assisting Libyan authorities in this and in strengthening migration management in line with human rights standards. Mr. President, to conclude, let me reiterate that the status quo in Libya has persisted for too long and is unsustainable. The central bank crisis revealed the fragile nature of the stability that is sometimes seen as a result of the political stalemate. The Libyan people deserve better. It's time to dispel a perception that the United Nations and the international community are only working to manage the crisis in Libya, but not address it. It is my intent to build on recent positive achievements and advance an inclusive political process in the coming weeks aimed at breaking the political deadlock, addressing long-standing conflict drivers, and moving towards national elections. I also count on the support of this Council towards this end. Thank you.